Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again to review Thanksgiving. This is the newest horror movie to come out in 2023, and it is from Eli Roth. Now let's talk about his filmography and what I think of it. Well, here's the thing. I am not really a fan. The only movie of his that I've seen is Knock Knock, which was a very confusingly bad, overly comedic, sort of like a guilty pleasure movie. I did watch it like 3 times or 4 times, like when it first came out, but I was watching it with the lens that like it was really bad and that I was just kind of laughing at it. And there was some good eye candy in the movie, though. I guess, like, that's one of the only saving graces about it. But, like, other than that, I really did not like the style of filmmaking with that movie of, like, just making everything so over the top and funny in a way where it's like, this movie could have been, like, a good, serious horror movie. From the trailer for that movie, and then you watch it, and it's like, it's just joke after joke after joke, and so. But this movie though is different. Thanksgiving is a movie where it's based on a trailer that was made for a movie that I haven't seen, where they had a bunch of trailers, I guess, in the middle of the movie, in between like these 2 movies smushed together. I think it was called Grindhouse. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen either film. But this was one of the trailers, and I really, really liked that trailer for the original Thanksgiving trailer. Like, it is so good because it gives you everything that you could want from a horror movie. Like, if you just watch that trailer, it's a master class on what to put in a horror movie. Like, it has everything. It like, remember how I said, I jokingly say in a lot of these reviews, like, I have a little checklist, and if the movie doesn't have all these things, it's not a real horror movie. Well, that trailer has every single thing that I would put on a checklist. So that is how good that trailer is. Like, if I were just rating that trailer, I give it an A+, that trailer alone. I especially love, like, the old school aesthetic. The way that it looks, it really looks like one of those old movies that you'd find on YouTube or something, and it's like, oh, this is a public domain movie or something, and, it just feels like a classic. And so when I heard that they were going to make a movie based on that trailer, I was a little hesitant because nowadays, whenever they do something based on something in the past, they always modernize it. And modernizing something basically is code for making it bad, because modernizing things doesn't work. That is a big flaw of movies and shows nowadays, is quote-unquote modernizing things of the past. Like, if you want to tell your own, like, modern story and it's good, then, that's fine. But if you take something from the past, like this trailer, and you modernize it, like 9 times out of 10, it's going to be trash. And so I was also hesitant because when I saw the trailer for this movie, they did kind of modernize it. They have it take place in the present time. There's a lot of stuff in this movie with phones, with like live streaming and taking pictures and videos on your phones, and a lot of stuff with that. So when I went into the movie, I went in with like hopeful expectations, but not too high. And fortunately, this movie's pretty good. And so this is not going to be a very long review because whenever I like a movie, that always means that the review probably won't be very long, unless it's like a classic movie that I have to just, you know, just gush about for an hour. Like let's just start off with like all the positives so that I can sound like one of those modern reviewers. Like, those reviewers who don't criticize anything, and they all live in their little LA echo chamber, and they don't want any negative comments because they're really dishonest. So I'm going to pretend like I'm just going to be so positive you guys are going to think I'm a different person. I'm going to do an impression of a modern critic. This movie was very good. It was very entertaining. I would watch it again. And another thing is, next year around Thanksgiving, what am I going to do? Well, first, I'm going to watch that Bone Chillers episode, the Thanksgiving one, which is also very, very good. And then I am going to watch Eli Roth's Thanksgiving again. And now here is my sponsor. I'm just kidding. Okay, I'm going to talk normal now because I know that made people turned off. So this movie is it is very reminiscent of like old school 80s slasher movies. It definitely has that formula. It reminded me a lot of I Know What You Did Last Summer, which I just saw for the first time recently, and it reminded me of Scream. And I will say this as well. You want to know something really embarrassing? This movie is a better Scream movie than Scream 4, Scream 5, and Scream 6. That is how bad the Scream franchise has fallen. So I was really impressed with that. I was not expecting that. I did hear someone say that this was like a Scream type of film in describing it, and I would agree. It is really, really pretty good. It's not amazing, but it is pretty damn good. It is good enough to where, yes, I would watch it again, especially next year around Thanksgiving. And maybe make it like a yearly thing, because I really can't think of a movie that takes place on Thanksgiving, except for that Bone Chillers episode, which is an episode, And I would also say, too, that I hope that after this movie, after people like it and go see it, hopefully, I hope that they make more movies that take place around holidays, like more horror movies. Because I feel like, you had Black Christmas, and then you had Halloween, and after that, like, what did you have? Like, I know that there's an April Fool's Day, and of course, there's the Mother's Day that Eli Roth really loves, but other than that, like, they really don't do that anymore, where they make movies that take place around certain holidays, other than Christmas or Halloween. Like, even with Halloween, too, it's, like, very rare that a movie takes place around Halloween. And so that's one of the really cool things about this movie. I mean, honestly, and now I know that this is going to kind of sound sad, but if this movie took place any other time of the year, it would not be anywhere near as good. So, like, even though it is pretty good, it is very good, largely because it takes place on and around Thanksgiving, and it really feels like a great Thanksgiving film that you could watch with the whole family. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on how cool your family is. If you have a weird family that, like, just, you're not allowed to watch Harry Potter or something, then no, you will not be able to watch this movie with them. And so in talking about, like, how it reminds me of old slasher movies, it also comes with the fact that, like, as soon as the movie opens and you see these characters, I mean, the opening is very, very fast. Like, that would be one thing to say, is that, like, the pacing of this movie, was a little questionable because, like, you had this opening, which is like the backstory setup for the movie, and it goes by very fast to where, like, it is hard. Like, there are so many characters that they introduce really, really quickly, and they have these little exposition lines that tells you about their characters, and it's just going so fast that you don't really have any time to settle into that opening, which I guess it's a good thing because I do like how this movie is, like, shorter. You know, it's not a 3-hour extravaganza. You know, it's a short horror movie. It's a regular sized horror movie. And then there's other parts of the movie where these sequences, they go by very fast. And it makes you upset because those sequences were really, really good. And you wish that they had gone on for longer because they were so entertaining. Especially this one scene near the end, which I could say what it is because, I mean, you've already seen that old trailer, which, you know, really shows you, like, because what Eli did was he looked at that trailer and he used that trailer as, like, a checklist of all the moments to put in this film. So I guess it wouldn't be spoiling much if I just said, like, the dinner scene near the end. You know, that scene, I felt like I really wanted that to go on longer because it was, like, my favorite part of the movie. It was what the whole movie was building towards. And it was very, very good. It's the closest thing to, like, a Texas Chainsaw Massacre dinner scene that we've ever gotten since the original. You know, they didn't really attempt to make, like, a good dinner scene in most of the sequels. You know, there was that one, I guess in the second one they kind of had one, but eh. And then in Texas Chainsaw the beginning, they had one which was pretty good. But this one really felt like, yeah, now this is a good, like, horror dinner scene. And I won't say anything else about that because I don't want to spoil it. And then also the movie does a good job at, like, keeping you guessing about what's going on. You know, the killer, you don't really know who it is until they reveal it. Like, I know that there's probably people who figured it out and they think I'm fucking retarded for not figuring it out, and that's fine. But I really couldn't tell because there were quite a few people who you could say, oh, that guy totally did it. Oh, no, that guy, he totally did it. So there's that. And I'm trying to think of what else. Well, in general, I like the kills a lot. This movie had some great kills and some great gore, blood, violence. This is what the people want in a horror movie. You know, like, you know, I know there's a lot of these horror movies nowadays, and they you know, they're really popular because they're, you know, like these niche movies that, you know, people pretend like they're good. But no, this is actual good horror, like good old-fashioned horror. You know, it doesn't really feel like he sanitized a lot of it. You know, I did think he sanitized some stuff. Like, there are some sequences in the original trailer, and I felt like the Eli Roth of back then would have made a much different movie than the Eli Roth of today would have made in regards to those sequences, or lack thereof sequences. But the gore and the blood and the violence made up for it. I would also say that it is probably the best horror movie I've seen all year. I mean, one of the biggest issues I have with the movie, now let's get to kind of the negative. One of the biggest issues I had, because even though I had a really fun time with this movie, it was definitely one of the most fun movie experiences I've had all year. One of the biggest issues I had was some of the acting. You know, there was some really, really bad acting in this movie. Like, there was there were so many scenes where characters saw something bad happen and there was nothing, like there was no expressions on their faces. And part of the problem too is the fact that like you didn't know if like it was supposed to be like comedic, that these characters were, not reacting to these things happening, because what it looked like to me was it just looked like these actors, some of them were pretty bad, and they were not doing a good job, and it really seemed to like, like when you zone out, like when somebody's talking to you and you're like, wait, what? Like that's what a lot of these actors acted like for almost the whole movie. Like they had nothing. They were so like they were just so like or like blank slated people. But I will say I really did like the main girl. I have complained time and time and again. You guys know how much of a stickler I am and a critic when it comes to final girls. And now I'm just saying she's the main girl. That's what they call them in these horror movies. They call them final girls, regardless of, I think people might have even called Janet Leigh a final girl, and then, she gets killed. So I'm not spoiling anything, but I mean, come on. Look at her face. I mean, you know a final girl when you see one. Like, it just, from the opening scene of this movie, like, just the look on her face, I knew what she was all about. But she did a good job. She did a really good job. She was probably the most likable character in the movie, and that's a real surprise, because normally I despise final girls. I hate them. It just kind of ruins horror movies for me that you have a character who is going to survive because she has to, so that they can follow like a template of like old school movies. But this character is like a character that you really end up liking. So I would say that was good. She was a good character. And let's see, what else? Because I think I covered almost everything. Yep, I think I did. I think I managed to do one of the fastest reviews in history. And I would say, again, my favorite part was the dinner scene. My least favorite part was probably some of the stuff in the first half of the movie, which was kind of slow compared to the second half. And that is what I'm saying, is that like I wish that some of the stuff in the first half went by faster, and that some of the stuff in the second half went by slower, But overall, I'm really positive about this movie. I don't want to be a negative Nancy about this movie. I want to encourage for there to be more movies like this that come out. Although I do really wish I had that old school look to it, because I feel like if you did that, it would set this movie apart even more, and it would make people want to watch it even more. It would not turn people off. Like I know that, making a movie black and white, that is taking a big chance with people, because people have to see their pretty colors and but here's the thing though, like they suck all the color out of movies nowadays. Almost every movie is like near black and white. Like it is ridiculous. Like movies look terrible nowadays. They look like shit. They just look awful. They look one of the movies I saw, which one was it? Which one was the diarrhea scream one? There was this one fucking movie that I saw this year. Was it this year? Oh yeah, it was Peter Pan and Wendy. Oh god. Ugh. Ugh. That movie looked like somebody had explosive diarrhea and they rubbed it all over the screen. and then you watch the movie. Like, that's what that movie looked like. That's how shitty it looked. That's how they make movies look nowadays. So, like, this whole thing about, because I've seen people say that, like, oh, well, he had to make it look like a modern movie because it would have more mainstream appeal. But really, like, this whole mainstream appeal thing with how movies look like is bullshit. Because if you really look at the consensus, the main consensus of people want to see colorful, good-looking movies. Like, even though Barbie was a terrible piece of propaganda garbage, it had colors in it. It was a colorful movie. That's part of the reason why people liked it. They liked it because it looked like other movies should look. And so if you made this movie with the old school aesthetic that the trailer had, it would have really, really worked well. And it would not have been something where it would have taken away from the mainstream appeal. That's just a bunch of bullshit. So now I'm going to get to my food review. This movie, I'm trying to think about what would be the perfect rating for this movie. Okay, now I just thought of one. So recently this year, there was a new ice cream sandwich flavor that came out, I think. I don't know if it was out before, but I've never seen it before. They took away mint chocolate chip ice cream sandwiches, which really pissed me off. Those are my favorite types of ice cream sandwiches. But they added this new kind, and it is a pumpkin pie ice cream sandwich. And I got it, and it was really, really good. I mean, it tastes exactly like the pumpkin pie that we eat every year around Thanksgiving. It is literally exactly the same. And, we also have whipped cream, and if you spray whipped cream on it, it makes it even better, and it makes it exactly like that pumpkin pie that we have every year. And so that's what this movie is like to me. It's not pumpkin pie. I mean, pumpkin pie is the original trailer that is an A+, and is really, really a masterpiece. This movie is a pumpkin pie ice cream sandwich with whipped cream on top. So that's what I would rate this movie in terms of food. It's good, it's not great, but it is well worth the time, especially when you've wasted time probably watching other movies this year that sucked. Like, let's see, what other... I mean, did you go see The Exorcist? Like, if you went to the theaters and wasted your life seeing The Exorcist, then you can be damn sure that you can go to the theater and see Thanksgiving and enjoy your time. If you went to the theater and wasted your time with that piece of shit Sound of Freedom, you can be damn sure that you can go to the theaters and see Thanksgiving and have a good time. And that's what I would say with this movie. Have a good time. It does have problems. It's not perfect. But have a good fucking time with this movie. You deserve to have a good fucking time with Thanksgiving. So anyways, please like this video and comment and tell me what you thought of Thanksgiving. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest movie reviews. And if you're proud of me for being very positive, because I think that this video was just about as positive as I could be in a video. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.